The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home from the office that Friday. Chicago in November always felt like the world was ending, but usually I found some solace in getting back to our cozy apartment in Lincoln Park. That day, though, a knot of dread had been tightening in my stomach all afternoon. I am torn, and until recently I thought I had a pretty good life. I'm 43, work as a software architect for a tech company downtown, and have been married to Isolde for 15 years. We met in college, and she's always been the bubbly, outgoing one, balancing out my more introverted nature. She works as a marketing manager for a local nonprofit, a job she genuinely loves. Things had been off lately. Isolde had been distant, working late more often, and her explanations felt vague, rehearsed even. I chalked it up to the pressure of her job, telling myself I was being paranoid. But the feeling persisted, a low hum of anxiety that I couldn't shake. As I unlocked the door, the first thing I noticed was the silence. Usually Maya, our golden retriever, would be barking her head off, ecstatic to see me, but the apartment was eerily quiet. "Isolde, Maya," I called out, my voice echoing in the stillness. No response. I found Maya curled up on the living room rug, looking dejected. She wagged her tail weakly when she saw me, but her usual enthusiasm was missing. That's when I saw it. A small, velvet box on the coffee table. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be? Was Isolde planning something special? Maybe a surprise trip for our anniversary? I picked up the box, my hands trembling slightly. It was heavier than I expected. I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of satin, was a pair of diamond earrings. Beautiful, expensive diamond earrings. But Isolde already had a pair of diamond earrings, a gift from her parents years ago. These were different, more elaborate. A cold wave washed over me. I knew with a certainty that settled like lead in my gut that these weren't for me. I closed the box, my fingers numb. Where had they come from? Who were they for? I went into the kitchen, needing something to do, anything to distract myself from the growing panic. I started making a pot of coffee, the familiar ritual usually calming, but today it did little to soothe my frayed nerves. As I waited for the coffee to brew, I noticed a receipt lying on the counter, partially hidden under a pile of mail. It was from a local jewelry store, the same one where the earrings were from. My hands shook as I picked it up. The receipt detailed the purchase of a diamond stud earrings and listed a name, Lucian Vance. The blood drained from my face. Lucian Vance. Isolde had mentioned him before. He was a new director at her nonprofit, someone she seemed to admire. "He's really shaking things up, Torin," she'd said just last week. "He's got such a vision for the organization." But the way she said his name, the subtle inflection in her voice, now replayed in my mind with a sickening clarity. I grabbed my phone and Googled Lucian Vance. His LinkedIn profile popped up. A handsome, charismatic man in his late 40s with a confident smile and piercing blue eyes. Under his photo, a list of accomplishments and accolades. My stomach churned. I scrolled through the images on the search results. And then I saw it. A picture of Lucian and Isolde standing side by side at a gala. Isolde was laughing, her hand resting lightly on Lucian's arm. They looked comfortable, too comfortable. The coffee machine beeped, jolting me back to reality. I poured myself a cup, my hands still trembling, and walked into the living room. Maya looked up at me, her eyes filled with concern. I sat down on the sofa, the velvet box still clutched in my hand. I had to confront Isolde. I couldn't live with this uncertainty, this gnawing suspicion that was eating me alive. I decided to call her. After 3 rings, she picked up. "Hey honey, what's up?" Her voice was bright, cheerful, completely at odds with the turmoil raging inside me. "Where are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Still at the office," she replied. "We're working on this big fundraising campaign. It's been crazy busy." "Really?" I said, my voice tightening. "Because I found something here, something I think you need to explain." There was a pause, a beat of silence that stretched on forever. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice suddenly wary. "A pair of diamond earrings," I said, my voice cracking, "and a receipt with a name on it, Lucian Vance." I could hear her sharp intake of breath. "Torin," she started, but I cut her off. "Don't," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "Just come home, we need to talk." I hung up, my heart pounding in my chest. I put the earrings back in the box and placed it on the coffee table, a silent accusation waiting for her. The next hour was the longest of my life. I paced the apartment, replaying every conversation, every interaction with Isolde over the past few months, searching for clues I had missed, signs I had ignored. I felt like a fool, a naive idiot who had been blind to the truth. Finally, I heard the key in the door. Isolde walked in, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. Maya rushed to greet her, but Isolde barely acknowledged her, her gaze fixed on me. "Torin," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I can explain." "Explain what, Isolde?" I said, my voice cold. "Explain why you have a pair of diamond earrings that weren't bought for me. Explain who Lucian Vance is and why his name is on the receipt." She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room, avoiding my gaze. "It's not what you think," she said weakly. "Then what is it, Isolde?" I demanded. "Tell me the truth." She took a deep breath, her shoulders slumping. "Okay," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Okay, I'd have been seeing Lucian." The words hit me like a physical blow. I staggered back, my head spinning. "Seeing him," I repeated, my voice hollow. "What does that mean?" "It means we have been having an affair," she said, her voice breaking. The room seemed to tilt, the walls closing in on me. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "An affair," I said, my voice barely audible. "For how long?" "A few months," she admitted, her eyes filled with tears. "I know it's wrong, Torin, I know, but I don't know, I got caught up in it." "Caught up in it," I repeated, my voice rising. "You got caught up in betraying me, in lying to me, in destroying our marriage." She started to cry, her body shaking with sobs. "I'm so sorry, Torin," she said, her voice muffled by her hands. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did hurt me, Isolde," I shouted, my voice raw with pain. "You broke my heart. You shattered everything I thought we had." We stood there in silence for a long moment, the only sound her sobs. I looked at her, at the woman I had loved for 15 years, and I saw a stranger. Someone I didn't recognize, someone capable of such profound betrayal. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice flat. "What?" she said, her eyes widening. "Leave?" "Yes," I said. "I want you to pack your things and get out. I can't look at you right now." "Torin, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this, I know we can." "No, Isolde," I said, shaking my head. "We can't. You broke something tonight that can't be fixed. I can never trust you again." She stared at me, her face a mask of despair. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay, I'll go." She turned and walked towards the bedroom, her shoulders slumped in defeat. I watched her go, my heart aching with a pain I had never known before. As I sat there alone in the living room, the rain still pounding against the windows, I felt a profound sense of loss. Not just the loss of my marriage, but the loss of my innocence, the loss of my belief in the goodness of people. I knew that my life would never be the same again. A few weeks later, the divorce was finalized. It was a clean break, as clean as something so emotionally devastating could be. Isolde moved into a small apartment downtown, and I stayed in our place in Lincoln Park. The apartment felt empty without her, filled with ghosts of memories that now haunted me. I threw myself into my work, burying myself in code, trying to forget the pain. I also started seeing a therapist, someone who could help me process the betrayal and navigate the emotional wreckage. One evening, a few months after the divorce, I received an unexpected email. It was from a woman named Genevieve. "Dear Torin," the email began. "My name is Genevieve, and I'm Lucian Vance's wife. I know this may come as a shock, but I felt I needed to reach out to you. I recently discovered that my husband has been having an affair with your ex-wife, Isolde. I am so sorry for what you've been through. I know that nothing I can say will make it better, but I wanted you to know that you're not alone." I stared at the email, my mind reeling. Lucian Vance was married, and his wife knew about the affair. I replied to Genevieve's email, thanking her for reaching out and suggesting we meet for coffee. A few days later, we met at a small cafe near my office. Genevieve was a striking woman with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. She was also clearly devastated by her husband's betrayal. We talked for hours, sharing our stories of heartbreak and betrayal. We discovered that Lucian had been lying to both of us, manipulating us, playing us against each other. He had told Isolde that he was separated from Genevieve, and he had told Genevieve that his relationship with Isolde was purely professional. As we talked, a sense of anger began to build inside me. Not just at Isolde, but at Lucian. He had not only betrayed his wife and destroyed my marriage, but he had also lied and manipulated us both. I decided that I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I started digging into Lucian's background, using my tech skills to uncover his secrets. It didn't take long to find something. It turned out that Lucian had been embezzling money from the nonprofit where he and Isolde worked. He had been using the funds to finance his lavish lifestyle, including the diamond earrings he had bought for Isolde. I gathered all the evidence I could find and took it to the authorities. A few weeks later, Lucian was arrested and charged with fraud and embezzlement. His career was ruined, his reputation destroyed. I felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that he was finally being held accountable for his actions. As for Isolde, I haven't spoken to her since the divorce. I heard through mutual friends that she was devastated by Lucian's arrest and that she had lost her job as a result of the scandal. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but I also knew that she had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. Genevieve and I stayed in touch, supporting each other through the aftermath of the betrayal. We found solace in our shared experience, and we eventually became close friends. One day, Genevieve called me and asked if I wanted to go on a trip with her. "I need to get away," she said. "I need to clear my head and start fresh." I agreed, and we booked a trip to Italy. We spent 2 weeks exploring the beautiful cities of Rome, Florence, and Venice. We laughed, we cried, and we healed together. As we walked along the canals of Venice, I realized that I was starting to feel something for Genevieve, something more than just friendship. She was kind, compassionate, and intelligent, and she had a way of making me feel seen and understood. One evening, as we sat at a cafe overlooking the Grand Canal, I reached across the table and took her hand. "Genevieve," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "I know this may be too soon, but I think I'm falling in love with you." She smiled, her eyes filled with tears. "I think I'm falling in love with you too, Torin," she said softly. We kissed, the sound of the water lapping against the buildings providing a romantic backdrop. It was a new beginning, a chance to find love again after the devastation of betrayal. It wasn't easy, but with Genevieve by my side, I knew that I could face anything. I had lost my marriage, but I had gained something even more valuable, a second chance at happiness. And that, I realized, was the greatest revenge of all.